Africa is witnessing a seismic shift, a bold awakening that is shaking the foundations of a continent long tethered to the chains of neo-colonialism and economic exploitation. At the heart of this revolution stands President Duma Gideon Boko of Botswana, a visionary leader whose audacious reforms are sending shockwaves across the continent. Just months into his presidency, Boko has emerged as a beacon of hope, drawing inspiration from and aligning with Burkina Faso's revolutionary captain Ibrahim Traoré. Together, these two young, fearless leaders are rewriting the narrative of African leadership, rejecting foreign dominance, and reclaiming their nation's wealth for their people. Boko's bold policies, fiery rhetoric, and unapologetic stance against corruption mirror Traoré's radical revolution, positioning them as a dynamic duo inspiring a new generation and giving the West sleepless nights. This is the story of Botswana's transformative president, his alliance with Traoré, and their shared vision for a sovereign, self-reliant Africa. At 55, President Duma Gideon Boko, who assumed power in October 2024, has taken Botswana by storm, igniting a revolution that echoes across Africa. A lawyer and former opposition leader, Boko swept into office with a mandate to transform Botswana's economy and restore its dignity. His presidency has been defined by a seismic declaration that has reverberated from Gaborone to global capitals. No minerals will leave Botswana unprocessed. This bold policy, announced in early 2025, mandates that all diamonds, the backbone of Botswana's economy, be cut and polished domestically, and that copper concentrates undergo local value addition before export. Botswana, the largest diamond exporter in Africa and the sixth globally, produces roughly 20% of the world's diamonds, valued at over $4 billion annually. By processing these gems locally, Boko aims to capture their full economic value, create thousands of jobs, and end the colonial-era practice of exporting raw materials while importing poverty. No diamond will leave this country raw, all will be cut and polished here. No copper concentrate will be exported without local value addition, he declared in a fiery speech in Gaborone, setting a new standard for resource nationalism. Boko's admiration for Captain Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso's revolutionary leader, is no secret. He has publicly hailed Traoré as a model of courage, citing his nationalization of Burkina Faso's gold mines and defiance of Western dominance as inspiration for Botswana's own transformation. Captain Traoré has shown us that Africa can stand tall, that we can control our own destiny, Boko proclaimed at a rally in February 2025. This admiration has translated into a burgeoning alliance, with Boko announcing that Traoré will soon visit Botswana, a move that has sparked excitement across the continent. Posts on X have buzzed with anticipation, with users speculating that this visit could lead to collaboration in defense, local industry, and resource management. The Traoré-Boko partnership signals a new era of African unity, one that prioritizes self-reliance over Western patronage and challenges the global economic order. Boko's transformative agenda extends far beyond minerals. In just months, he has launched ambitious projects to uplift Botswana's 2.4 million citizens. His flagship affordable housing initiative aims to construct 100,000 low-cost homes by 2030, addressing the housing crisis that has left thousands in informal settlements. This project, inspired by Traoré's social housing programs in Burkina Faso, is expected to create 50,000 construction jobs and stimulate local economies by sourcing materials domestically. Boko has also unveiled plans for a state-of-the-art diamond processing hub in Gaborone, projected to create 10,000 jobs and position Botswana as a global leader in value-added diamond exports. Set to be operational by 2027, the hub will include training programs to equip Botswana youth with cutting and polishing skills, ensuring that the industry benefits local communities rather than foreign corporations. Energy independence is another cornerstone of Boko's vision. His administration has broken ground on a 200-megawatt solar plant in the Kalahari region, set to reduce Botswana's reliance on imported power from South Africa. Funded in part by Chinese loans, this project mirrors Traoré's partnerships with non-Western powers, reflecting a shared strategy to diversify alliances. Boko has also launched a national agricultural modernisation programme, distributing 1,000 solar-powered irrigation systems to smallholder farmers and establishing 10 new agro-processing centres to boost food production and exports. These initiatives draw heavily on Traoré's agricultural reforms, underscoring their shared commitment to food security and economic diversification. Boko's anti-corruption crusade is as fierce as his rhetoric. In a blistering 60-minute address to Botswana's top government officials in March 2025, he delivered a no-holds-barred indictment of the nation's leadership. Educated people like yourselves, a population of about 2.4 million, endowed with so much wealth. If the economy is not performing, it means the intelligentsia of the country has failed, and has failed miserably, he thundered. This country shouldn't be in debt. There's no way. It is unjustifiable. I refuse to embrace this unpleasant reality. I am a persistent objector to this conventional and mundane existence. Like Traoré, Boko is unafraid to call out underperforming ministers publicly, threatening to sack those who fail to deliver. In one instance, he publicly reprimanded the Minister of Trade for delays in implementing the mineral processing policy, declaring, "If you cannot keep up with the pace of this revolution, step aside." This uncompromising stance has earned him both admiration and fear, signalling a new era of accountability in Botswana's governance. Boko's revolution draws heavily on the trailblazing work of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the 37-year-old leader of Burkina Faso, who has become a continental icon since seizing power in a September 2022 coup. Traoré's rise was a response to the failures of his predecessor, Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Damiba, to curb Burkina Faso's jihadist insurgency and economic stagnation. A former geology student turned soldier, Traoré has channeled the radical legacy of Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso's iconic revolutionary leader, declaring war on corruption, foreign exploitation, and elite complacency. His vision of a sovereign, self-reliant Burkina Faso has inspired leaders like Boko and galvanized Africa's youth, who see him as a symbol of resistance against neo-colonialism. Traoré's most audacious move has been the nationalization of Burkina Faso's mineral wealth, particularly its gold sector, which accounts for over 80% of the country's export revenue. Burkina Faso, the world's 13th largest gold producer, yields approximately 100 tons annually, worth roughly $6 billion. For decades, foreign companies, primarily Canadian, Australian and French, reap the benefits, leaving Burkinabe communities impoverished. In August 2024, Traoré's government nationalized two key Western-owned gold mines for $80 million, a fraction of their $300 million value in 2023. In November 2023, Burkina Faso inaugurated its first-ever gold refinery in Ouagadougou, capable of processing 150 tons annually. Built with Chinese investment, the refinery employs 100 directly and supports 5,000 indirect jobs, boosting government revenue and reducing reliance on raw exports. Traoré's reforms extend to agriculture and infrastructure. His administration has distributed 400 tractors, 714 motorcycles, 710 motor pumps, and 239 tillers to farmers, aiming for food self-sufficiency by 2030. The reopening of the Faso Fani textile factory, rebranded as Sofitex, and the establishment of two new cotton processing plants in Bobo Dioulasso and Ouagadougou have created thousands of jobs. Infrastructure projects include the Ouagadougou-Donson Airport, set to handle 1 million passengers annually by late 2025, and the Sissainob cement plant in Laongo, producing 2,000 tons daily. These initiatives, often funded by non-Western partners like China and Russia, reflect Traoré's commitment to industrialization and self-reliance. Traoré's war on corruption is relentless. He reversed salary increases for government officials, retaining his modest captain's salary as a symbol of solidarity with the people. His administration halted export permits for small-scale gold miners in 2024 to curb smuggling and tax evasion, saving millions in lost revenue. His public lectures to ministers are electrifying, delivered with a passion that brooks no excuses. On April 1, 2025, he warned, "This mirrors Boko's public shaming of underperforming officials, highlighting their shared intolerance for inefficiency." Traoré's defiance of the West has made him a hero across Africa. He expelled French troops in 2023, ending Operation Sabre, and dropped French as an official language in favour of Mooré and Dioula. Aligning with Russia, Cuba and Venezuela, he formed the Alliance of Sahel States with Mali and Niger to counter Western-backed blocs like ECOWAS. When US General Michael Langley accused him of misusing gold reserves in 2025, thousands rallied in Ouagadougou on April 30th, denouncing Western interference. Protests in Accra, Nairobi and London's diaspora communities, amplified by AI-generated tributes and deepfake anthems, have cemented Traoré's status as Africa's messiah. The parallels between Traoré and Boko are striking, forming a blueprint for a new African renaissance. Both leaders are driven by a vision of economic sovereignty, rejecting the colonial model of exporting raw materials while importing poverty. Traoré's gold refinery and Boko's diamond processing hub represent a broader movement to industrialise Africa and retain the value of its resources. Both have prioritised job creation. Traoré's gold refinery employs 100 directly and supports 5,000 indirectly, while Boko's diamond initiative is poised to employ thousands. Both have invested heavily in agriculture and infrastructure. Traoré with his mechanised farming and new airport, Boko with his housing projects and solar plants. And both have taken a hardline stance against corruption, publicly shaming officials who fail to serve their people. Their defiance of Western influence is a defining feature of their leadership. Traoré's expulsion of French troops and rejection of IMF aid have inspired Boko to assert Botswana's autonomy in global trade. By aligning with Traoré's alliance of Sahel states and exploring partnerships with Russia and China, Boko is signalling that Botswana will no longer bow to Western dictates. This stance has provoked criticism from the West, with US and European officials accusing both leaders of undermining democracy and destabilizing the region. Yet, these accusations have only fueled their popularity as Africans rally around their defiance. When General Langley criticised Traoré, thousands protested in Ouagadougou and beyond. Similarly, Boko's mineral processing policy has drawn ire from Western mining companies like De Beers, who stand to lose billions as Botswana takes control of its diamond trade. Posts on X have celebrated Boko's move, with users calling it a middle finger to the West and a step toward true independence. Traoré and Boko are not just leaders. They are symbols of hope for a continent weary of corrupt, aging elites who have clung to power for decades. At 37, Traoré is a hero to Africa's youth, who see in him a rejection of the old guard's complacency and subservience to foreign powers. His fiery rhetoric and bold actions have galvanized a generation, with his image, often draped in Pan-African flags or depicted as a divine warrior, flooding social media. AI-generated tributes and deepfake anthems hail him as the people's captain, while hashtags like @TraoréTheLion trend across platforms. Boko, though older, channels the same energy, appealing to Botswana youth who demand progress over platitudes. His speeches, shared widely on X, have inspired a new sense of national pride, with young people calling him Botswana's Sankara. Their popularity transcends borders. At President John Mahama's inauguration in Ghana on January 7, 2025, Traoré received the loudest applause among 21 African heads of state, a testament to his continental influence. Boko, too, is gaining traction, with his mineral processing policy inspiring leaders in mineral-rich nations like Zambia, the Democratic Republic of Congo and Namibia to consider similar reforms. On X, users have dubbed the Traoré-Boko alliance Africa's new power duo, with some predicting that their partnership could spark a continent-wide movement to reclaim resources and assert sovereignty. This digital fervour reflects a broader awakening among African youth, who are increasingly questioning the West's role in their continent's poverty and underdevelopment. As Traoré declared in a 2024 speech, why does resource-rich Africa remain the poorest region of the world? The heads of African states should not behave like puppets in the hands of the imperialists. Boko echoed this sentiment, stating, "Botswana's wealth belongs to Botswana, not foreign corporations." The rise of Traoré and Boko is a wake-up call for Africa's entrenched leaders, many of whom have ruled for decades while their nations languish in poverty, debt, and instability. From Cameroon's Paul Biya, in power since 1982, to Uganda's Yoweri Museveni, who has ruled for nearly 40 years, these aging autocrats are being shown up by a new breed of leaders who prioritize action over rhetoric. The old guard must learn that leadership is not about clinging to power, but about delivering tangible results, whether it's Traoré's gold refinery or Boko's housing projects. They must embrace resource nationalism, invest in local industries, and confront corruption head-on. They must also listen to their youth, who are no longer content with empty promises or Western patronage. Failure to adapt risks irrelevance, or worse, revolt, as seen in Burkina Faso's 2022 coups and the growing unrest in other nations. The old guard could learn from Traoré's and Boko's willingness to take risks. Traoré's nationalisation of gold mines and expulsion of French troops were bold gambles that paid off, earning him widespread support. Boko's mineral processing policy, though controversial, has positioned Botswana as a pioneer in value-added exports. These leaders demonstrate that courage, transparency, and a focus on the people can transform nations. They also show the power of public engagement. Both Traoré and Boko communicate directly with their citizens, using speeches and social media to rally support and hold officials accountable. This contrasts sharply with the aloofness of leaders like Nigeria's Bola Tinubu or Kenya's William Ruto, who face growing criticism for their disconnect from the masses. The West is rattled by the rise of Traoré and Boko. Traoré's expulsion of French troops and nationalisation of gold mines have cost Western firms billions, disrupting the neo-colonial model that has long profited from Africa's raw resources. Boko's mineral processing policy threatens similar losses for companies like De Beers and Anglo American, which have dominated Botswana's diamond trade for decades. The alliance of Sahel states, backed by Russia, challenges Western influence in the Sahel, while Boko's flirtation with Chinese investment signals a shift in global alliances. The West's attempts to discredit Traoré through accusations of authoritarianism or misuse of resources have backfired, galvanizing African support for him. Boko, too, is shrugging off Western criticism, focusing instead on building a Botswana that serves its people. This defiance is causing alarm in Western capitals. The US and France have long relied on African resources and compliant leaders to maintain their economic dominance. Traoré's alignment with Russia and Boko's partnerships with China threaten to upend this order, creating a multipolar world where Africa asserts its agency. The West's sanctions on Burkina Faso, including a $100 million aid cut in 2024, have only strengthened Traoré's resolve, while Boko's refusal to bow to pressure from Western mining companies has emboldened other African leaders. The growing popularity of the Traoré-Boko model, resource nationalism, anti-corruption, and non-Western alliances, is keeping Washington and Paris awake at night as they grapple with a continent that is no longer willing to be their playground. Yet, the path is fraught with challenges. Traoré faces a relentless jihadist insurgency that controls 40% of Burkina Faso's territory, displacing over 2 million people and closing thousands of schools and health facilities. His decision to postpone elections until 2029 has drawn criticism from democracy advocates who warn of authoritarianism cloaked in revolutionary rhetoric. Boko too must navigate Botswana's economic challenges, including a 27% unemployment rate and a debt burden of $2.5 billion, which he has publicly decried as unjustifiable. His aggressive reforms risk alienating powerful elites and foreign investors who could retaliate with economic pressure or sabotage. Both leaders must balance their bold visions with the practical demands of governance, ensuring that their revolutions deliver security, prosperity, and inclusivity without descending into repression or instability. External pressures also loom large. The West's sanctions and media campaigns against Traoré could escalate, while Boko's mineral policy may provoke trade disputes with global powers. Both leaders must navigate the delicate balance of aligning with non-Western powers like Russia and China without becoming overly dependent on them. Internally, they face the challenge of managing expectations. Their ambitious promises, whether Traoré's food self-sufficiency or Boko's housing projects, require time and resources, and delays could erode public support. Yet, their ability to communicate directly with their people, coupled with their tangible achievements, gives them a reservoir of goodwill that few African leaders enjoy. Captain Ibrahim Traoré and President Duma Boko are not just leading their nations, they are igniting a continent-wide movement for sovereignty, dignity and self-reliance. Their shared vision, rooted in resource nationalism, anti-corruption crusades and defiance of Western hegemony, is a clarion call to Africa's youth and a warning to its complacent leaders. From Burkina Faso's gold refineries to Botswana's diamond hubs, from Traoré's tractors to Boko's solar plants, these leaders are proving that Africa's wealth can transform its people's lives. Their fiery lectures to underperforming ministers, their bold reforms, and their unapologetic stance against imperialism are rewriting the rules of African leadership. As Traoré prepares to visit Botswana, the continent watches with bated breath. This alliance could spark a domino effect, inspiring other nations to reclaim their resources and chart their own paths. Leaders in Zambia, Namibia, and the DRC are already studying the Traoré-Boko model, while youth movements across Africa are rallying behind their call for change. The West may tremble, but Africa is rising. Traoré and Boko are not just leaders, they are the vanguard of a new African century, where the continent's wealth belongs to its people, and its future is written by its own hands. The revolution is here, and it is unstoppable.